Open Arcade. I'm John. I'm your teacher. I'm your teacher because I find, I guess, teacher-student connections to be very illicit and sexually alluring. That's why I'm doing this. But you all seem really intimidated and confused by the intricacy of LoL and all of its jargon and so on. So I decided to help break that down. This is League of Legends, a popular video game. It's based off Dota, Defense of the Ancients, another very popular video game. This is probably its most accessible and easiest to get into game. Probably has the lowest skill cap, I'd say too. This is a base, and they're on both sides of the map. They're symmetrical. It has a fountain. This is where you spawn at the beginning of the game. It's where you shop from this trolly Jewish-looking guy, who I think is my uncle. It's where you go if you get hurt. You can teleport back there. It's where you spawn after each time you die, so on. It's sort of the nucleus of your gameplay. This is the Nexus. It's the StarCraft 2 command center, I guess, or the town hall or town center, whatever it was called from Age of Empires. These are turrets or towers. These are inhibitors. They control the strength of your NPCs, your creeps, and you have to destroy these to access these towers in this Nexus. This is my champion. Her name's Akali. She has 4 skills. Every champion has 4 skills. She has her Q, which is this. She has her W, which is this. It's not working. Oh, that's right, I didn't take it yet. So she has her Q, which is that, her E, which is this, and her R, which is that. Her level is down here. It's 12. Her items are down here. This is a lane. This is what I'm in. There are 3 of them. There's the middle lane because it's in the middle of the map. There's the top lane because it's at the top of the map. Curves here to the top of their base. Bottom lane is at the bottom of the map from their base Taurus. Lane has pretty consistent meaning with its everyday English usage, just a narrow corridor from one location to another, in this case being from our base to theirs. Outside of the lanes and outside of the bases you have what's called the jungle, which is basically everything else. It has NPCs and mobs, creeps, I think a term that's pretty consistent across MMOs. It has those throughout. Both sides of the jungle are flipped and symmetrical, or mostly symmetrical. You'll find the same creeps on either side. If I fight in here versus in lane for most of the game, I'm a jungler. That's all that word means. If I fight in the jungle, I'm a jungler. If I fight in the lane, I'm a laner. The jungle has some cool opportunities too, besides just killing creeps and champions. It has some special creeps. You might think of them as bosses or buff holders. I don't really play World of Warcraft or whatever. I don't know what the common parlance is. But we have these buffs. This is the red buff. There's also the blue buff. They're on both sides of the map. On this side of the map, the red buff's there, and the blue buff's there. So it's inverted, but same basic premise. The red buff has this cool thing where all of your auto attacks, once you have it, slow the enemy and also cause damage over time. The blue buff, which is over here, I'll describe as I'm walking there. He's a gigantic golem dude named the Ancient Golem, or the Golem Elder, something like that. I think Ancient Golem. And his buff gives you increased resource regeneration, mana, energy, whenever your champion works off. Yeah, he's Ancient Golem. And he also gives you reduced cooldowns, so he's very helpful. So there are more than one benefit to going in the jungle. Not only can you farm off all these mobs here, but you also get these special buffs, blue and red, which are very helpful. Also in the jungle, aside from the blue and red, are 2 special kind of mobs, I guess. There's this guy who's called Dragon. He is a pretty central part of middle to early game gameplay. He gives your entire team golden experience. Anybody who's nearby gets the experience anyway. And he can be done relatively early game with just a small team. Here, later in the mid game, I can do him by myself, ladies. And he's pretty pivotal early to mid game. Kind of drops off late game in favor of this guy over here, who's sort of Dragon's great uncle. He's the angry purple spinning thing named Baron Nashor, or just Baron. He offers the same sort of thing, even more gold though to your whole team, even more experience to everyone nearby, and also gives you kind of a buff like the blue and red that's purple, and it just gives you fucking everything. It's incredible. That's not the point. Ganking is another word that throws you all off. So I'm in the jungle here. I've showed you the buffs in the jungle, the blue and the red. I've showed you the special mobs, sort of the mob bosses, which are Baron here and Dragon down here. And as I come out of the jungle, if I decide to go into a lane, mid lane in this case, because it's in the middle of the map again, I can gank. Ganking, if you're not from the suburbs, being a word that already exists, which basically means to brutally run up on someone, surprise them, either hurt them, take something from them. It depends on the region, but it's basically what it means in LoL 2. You go somewhere you're not expected to be and kill someone. You can gank from top lane to middle lane, or the jungle to bottom lane, just any location where the enemy doesn't expect you to be. If you suddenly show up there, you've ganked them, especially if you've ganked them successfully, if you manage to kill them while doing it. So that's ganking. Here's my W skill for what it's worth. I just took it. So that was ganking, and I guess the overarching mechanism that all of this feeds into is farming. That's what it's all about. It applies to almost every single game out there. Regardless, it applies to arcadey racing games. It applies to grindy JRPGs. It applies to a whole bunch of platforming games nowadays. And the resource system differs from game to game. You might be getting points. You might be getting coins, rings, stars. You might get souls and Soul Reaver, whatever. In LoL, the two resource systems are gold and experience. When I kill these creeps, I get some gold, and I also get some experience. You have an end game, each game, which is level 18. I'll be there in 4 more levels. And gold sort of as an end point, I guess. Once you get all these optimal items you like to get, you kind of have more gold than you need. But, that's the main objective of the game. You fight in these lanes and kill champions, and then you go in the jungle and kill creeps and kill these special buffs, and you sneak out of the jungle to kill champions, and you kill these special mob bosses, Dragon and Baron. All those things you do are to get gold and experience, and that's called farming. And feeding, which is the word that you all seem really uncomfortable with because you think we all scream that at each other in Portuguese. Feeding just means essentially making sure that someone is farmed through error. If you're feeding someone, you're getting them farmed because you're fucking up. You're letting them kill you too easily. You're not paying attention to how many creeps they're killing. You're fucking up. You're letting them get too strong and get too farmed. Sort of the equivalent of the Goombas in Mario fucking up by not stopping you from hitting every single thing you need to hit and not killing you. Your job is to stop people from getting fed. And if you die all the time, or if you run away and let them do whatever they want, or you basically don't exert your own will over the game in your area of the map, you're letting the person get fed and you're feeding them. So all that done, I think that's everything that everybody wanted to know.